Hey there, everybody. Now, I've been sharing my stories about going into the visionary state and being introduced to this kid, Billy. And this is a particularly weird part of my story. And so I decided to tell it in a spooky location. Now, it starts with I was going over to that bus stop where Billy didn't want me to go. And I must have been in about third grade. And I'm pretty sure I saw Billy over there yelling at me now. This is my bus stop. You go back to your bus stop. So I refused. I stayed at the bus stop and I started looking for Billy. And I asked the other kids, "Have you seen Billy? Where did Billy go?" And they're like, "Who's Billy?" So as a consequence of going to that bus stop, I ended up meeting a little boy named Juan Long. And now when I met Juan, he used to come up and run his mouth and call me ugly and all this stuff. So this may have happened a few times, and I thought I'd whip his ass the way I did that kid calling me a booger eater the other time. And so I went to swing on him, and he took a step back and he hit me right in the solar plexus with a perfect front kick. Turns out Juan has been taking karate lessons. So funny thing is so over the next couple of years, Juan was the cool kid that sits in the back of the bus, and he was a smart kid. He'd bring things to school and make money selling school supplies or something. Um, I don't know, always in the back of the bus, and he would talk shit, and he would call me ugly. And then one day in fifth grade, um, Juan asked me if I would like to be his practice girlfriend and invited me to go to his house. I don't know how he talked me into this, especially after all that other stuff, like I can't remember exactly how he persuaded me, but who knows, maybe I just was happy to have a friend, and I was kind of happy that he was, ready to turn it around. And so so anyways, we would sit there and we'd watch the Smurfs, and then eventually we'd start holding hands. And I think he was trying to work it up to where like we would kiss eventually. Now Juan was a very neat little kid. I remember hanging out in his front yard, and he was showing me all his plants and animals and saying, I really love nature. And I remember standing out there, and so his place was sort of across from where Billy lived. Like they were on the corner across from them on, like they lived on First Avenue. And so Billy's house would have been sort of across the street on that corner, across that empty lot. So anyways, he said he knew who Billy was. So that's the funny thing. And so one time I came over to Juan's house, and so I went. Juan told me to go in his room and wait for him. And then a person that I thought might be Juan walked in there, and he told me that he's actually Billy this time, and that he's a friend of Juan's, and that they set this up so we could meet, and that he accepts, he likes Juan. He doesn't mind him being my boyfriend, but he wanted to get there first. So what Billy told me is he wanted to teach me how to kiss. So he got me in bed and he taught me how to kiss, and he explained that a lot of boys don't know how to do this correctly. They'll stick their tongue in your mouth and all this nasty stuff, and so he was really wanting to show me what it's like to be loved, because later on in life, I'm going to be disrespected by a lot of boys, and he's definitely right about that. And a lot of these boys definitely didn't know how to kiss either. So the thing is I don't want to get too graphic. I'm just going to say the kid tried to get me to have sex with him, but I wasn't really ready yet. So that's what makes it so realistic. So the thing is I was at the end of fifth grade. I was 11 years old, and I was sneaking off to go see my practice boyfriend. Now I'm in the visionary state with Billy, who seemed to be close to my age, but as he was laying on top of me, he started explaining everything, like, "Jody, I love you very much, and I need you to remember who I am." He said, "I'm really 30 years old, but I had to appear to be close to your age so that way we could talk." He said, "Here, I'll even demonstrate my voice." And he started talking like a grown man. And he said, "Notice my eyes aren't brown like Juan's eyes, and but when I looked at his eyes, it was like they were glowing blue." Now this is where it's a lot like one of these horror movies or a sci-fi movie. So yeah, that was something where so when we were all done there, he had taken all of my clothes off too, by the way, and I felt like, oh my god, if I don't get out of here, I'm gonna get caught, man. So I was like trying to hurry up and get going. And he's like, no, you don't have to worry, you don't have to worry about that. And I was too afraid of getting in trouble. And I was just kind of freaked out. Like, he kind of pushed me past my boundaries to some extent. And, so I was gathering my stuff up and running off of the back porch, and he was following me and saying something, like, don't forget who I am. And I, it's like, we really want to get you into the music business, and I really need you to be on your best behavior. And that's why I kind of made that connection. It'd been mentioned to me earlier before that I might want to think about getting into the music business. Anyways, I left there just feeling really like baffled, like what the hell just happened? That was really weird. So since then, we went on summer break, and that's when I was saying I went into eye surgery and was put under. In a previous video, I was asked if to tell if anything weird happened. So that's where I started thinking, hey, that hit me. I don't know if the visions are a side effect of that or not, but just to throw more speculation, I've got several things we're looking at. And then when I started back to school the very next year, I was having a rough time, and I think I saw that kid again. At first I thought it was Juan. He said, hey, come here. And so we went behind the gas station into a house that's under construction. And he tried to make love to me again back there, and then explained to me, that he's Billy, and someday he's going to be a famous rock star, and he needs me to please remember who I am. And I remember taking a good look at him and realizing, he's definitely different than Juan. They were just so close in appearance, except that Juan had brown eyes and Billy had green eyes. And I think that Billy was actually a little bit better looking than Juan. And again, I started noticing that beauty mark on his cheek. And I noticed that he had in some gold studs and possibly a gold chain. So I don't know if this is something that Bill Lieb would have had at that age, maybe being in his early teens. But in my vision, he kind of had his hair grown out a little bit, and maybe a little bit curly in the back again. And so anyways, this was a very strange occurrence. It's something that it was really easy to forget about for a while, and kind of confused it with Juan Long a little bit. But it's something that I think may have happened around a very heavy time of my life. And that's where, he was, again, please don't forget who I am and all this type of stuff. So I'd like to get into that a little bit later, but I kind of wanted to go back and mention that I had seen Billy one more time in the form of a kid, and at that point, I did run into Juan Long a little bit later on, and I think a few years later, he pulled me off someplace to go to make out, and I knew that when Juan and I were kissing that he was doing it wrong. It was like Billy warned me, like he didn't know how to kiss. And that's where it kind of gave away, like, oh my God, this ain't the same person. So that's where it started kind of where it's kind of freaky, So, and me and Juan were like this close to having sex, but I was so grossed out. And the thing is like, ew. So I'm so glad I didn't. Oh my goodness. So he didn't remember, because I asked him, well, don't you remember we tried this before? He didn't remember it. But again, you guys, when I tell you these stories about slipping into the visionary state, I'm not a creative writer, and I'm not really making this stuff up. I'm just doing my very best to remember it and sharing it. And so I think this is a freaky part of my story where, Billy started talking in the man voice and his eyes was glowing and everything. But there was some truth in what he said, that later on in life, that I would feel disrespected by men, and that they probably wouldn't know how to kiss correctly anyway. So Billy wanted to make sure that I knew what it was like to feel loved. And he also wanted to remind me to be on my best behavior, and I think I really needed that, because there's a lot of things that would make me want to act out in the future. So anyways, you guys, that's a very strange part of my story that I'd like to share, and please be open-minded and don't hate me for these. I'm just telling you what happened to me. It's a type of parallel dimension vision, and it's a type of event where maybe I have a ghost giving me visions, you guys. So please forgive me for I don't try to be that. I'm not trying to be weird. I'm just trying to be honest. Anyways, so some of these stories I'm telling you about going into visionary state and meeting Bill Lieb, I don't make these up, but by telling you all these stories, I hope that explains to you why I even think about them so much. Otherwise, I'm pretty sure you guys wouldn't be hearing about all this, and Billy wouldn't have had to hear from me either. So you guys take care, and you have a spooky night. Happy Halloween. Bye bye now.